Good morning, 7th graders. So today in science, we're going to do a few different things, and it's going to vary depending on which learning group you're in. So if you are a Monday, Tuesday student, you'll obviously be in school, so you'll get a little more information on this there. But if you are a Monday, Tuesday student who is absent, I want you to look back at the Chapter 2 Get Ready to Read assignment. This was from early January. And I had you do a bunch of agree, disagree statements, and then I would like you to look back at them and see if you were right or wrong. Then I have a getting ready to read assignment for Chapter 7 that we're going to do. It's real short, just 6 statements, and I'll show you that in this video. And we're going to be watching a video in class called What's Inside You? Really interesting video. Thursday, Friday, and distance learners, you'll be watching that later this week. If you are learning from home today, whether you're a Thursday, Friday student or a distance learner, I have a getting ready to read assignment that I would like you to do. That'll be really quick. And then we're going to do a science notebook assignment about what are bacteria. And this is going to be sort of similar to the lesson outlines, just a little different format as you're reading the text. There will not be any open office hours today. If you need help, please send me a Schoology message and I'll get back to you as soon as you can. Most likely it'll be in class when kids are watching the video, or it'll be during the 6th hour when I have my prep time. So first off, to show you the getting ready to read assignment, if you're working from home. So this worksheet is in Schoology. There's 2 things in this week's folder already. And so it says before you read, to decide if you agree or disagree with each of these statements. On the line before each statement, you're going to write A if you agree or D if you disagree. And then as we go through this chapter in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see if you change your mind after we're done. So you are only going to be filling out this first column right here where I've got the mouse hovering. That's all you need to fill out today, okay? It's just agree or disagree with these 6 statements. Submit that, and you're good with the first assignment. The second assignment that you're going to be working on is this science notebook worksheet. It is sort of a packet, but there's a lot of wasted space, and so it's not going to take as long as it appears. So on the first page, we're going to start with something similar to the before you read, the agree, disagree stuff. So this chapter is about bacteria and viruses. And I would like you to think about what you know about bacteria and viruses. And you're going to make a list of those things in this first box. Why don't you shoot for 3 things that you know about viruses and bacteria? I bet you can come up with 3 things. In the second box, it's what I want to learn. And so if there's something about bacteria and viruses, maybe COVID-19, that's a virus, you want to learn about, make a list of those things here. And as I look at these later in the week, I'll be checking out that box to make sure that there's anything that I definitely should be hitting on as we're going through this chapter. Box L over here, what I learned, that's to be completed after the chapter, so you do not need to write anything in this box here. This list of vocabulary words is just there for reference. You don't need to do anything with that right now. Then moving on to the actual part of the assignment. So as you can see, this is divided up into 2 columns. It's sort of set up to model Cornell notes. And so on the left-hand side are the main ideas and a page reference. Then on the right-hand side, you've got more of the notes and the details. So to start out with, it says define bacteria. So that is just asking us for a definition. So you're going to be referencing the textbook, pages 230 to 235. This is what the first page looks like. And so we are looking for a definition of bacteria. I'm going to try and set this up a little more split screen. And so, what are bacteria? Well, as you're reading through here, bacteria is right in this first paragraph, okay? It's a highlighted yellow word. Bacteria are microscopic prokaryotes. So you could just write that on your line for the first answer there. That's going to be defining bacteria. And you found that on page 231. Next, it says identify 6 places where bacteria live. So as you continue reading through here, you're looking for places that bacteria live. So the second paragraph here starts out with bacteria live in almost every habitat on Earth. Okay, so they're talking about where they live. Answers coming up soon here. So we've got air, glaciers, ocean floor, soil. So that's 4 right there. As you continue reading, it's talking about how much bacteria is in soil. It also can live and on almost every organism. So lives on other living things. It is found in your skin. And then it even tells you have more bacteria cells than you actually have human cells. If you continue reading, it's going to give you another set of information here about something called archaea, which is very similar to bacteria, but slightly different. All right, so you had your 6 places that they live. So hopefully you wrote those down. Pause the video as you need if you're going to follow along. And that was also on page 231. Next one, it says diagram an example of a bacterium. Label the listed structures. So we've got this list of structures here, and we're going to label this picture. Now, this is not something I expect you to have memorized, so we're using the textbook, okay? As we go, I'm going to turn the page here, and if you look right on page 232 here, the same picture is there, and it's labeled for you. So you're just going to transfer that information onto the worksheet. Okay, so that was labeling the bacteria. The next section says draw and name the 3 basic shapes of bacteria. Well, as you're scanning through here, you catch this blue heading, sizes and shapes of bacteria. So I think that's going to be where our answer is. So it's talking here about the size of bacteria. Then we have this chart at the bottom of the page that says shapes of bacteria. So we've got 3 shapes here on this chart, and you've got pictures. And so onto the worksheet, you're just going to transfer those 3 types and then make a little sketch of those 3 kinds: round, rod, or spiral shaped. 3 shapes of bacteria. So we're done with the first page. Moving on to the next page, it says describe how bacteria compare in size with plant and animal cells. So I think that you're going to find that right in this paragraph, still on page 232. It says bacteria are much smaller than plant and animal cells. Well, that kind of gives you the answer here. And it even gives us numbers. Bacteria are only 1 to 5 micrometers, while an average eukaryotic cell is 10 to 100 micrometers. Eukaryotic cells are what plant and animal cells are classified as. So they're much smaller. You're looking at 10 to 20 times smaller if you're looking at these numbers. So there's your first answer here, that describe question. Next one says identify 3 ways in which bacteria obtain energy. So I'm going to go over to the next page, and I bet they're going to have a heading about energy. Oh, here we go. Blue heading, obtaining food and energy. So we're looking for 3 ways that bacteria get energy. So as you read through here, be looking for ways that bacteria can get their own energy, or how they make energy. In this first one, I see bacteria obtain food in various ways, and then it says some take in food and break it down and obtain energy. Some feed on dead organisms. Others take in nutrients from living hosts. So lots of ways right there in that first paragraph. They even show you an example of a rotting banana because of bacteria. Next, it says contrasts anaerobic bacteria with aerobic bacteria. So let's keep scanning for those words. All right, in this last paragraph on page 233, I see anaerobic bacteria. So if we look at this, most organisms, including humans, cannot survive without oxygen. However, certain bacteria do not need oxygen to survive. These are called anaerobic bacteria. Bacteria that need oxygen are called aerobic bacteria. So that kind of gives us our answer there. Aerobic bacteria, this first box, they need oxygen. Anaerobic, they do not need oxygen. Think back to respiration. We had two different types of respiration that you learned about in the gizmo. Aerobic also needed energy. Anaerobic does not need energy. And so that's what those words mean. Aerobic needs energy. Anaerobic does not need energy. The next question says, identify 3 ways in which different types of bacteria move. So I'm looking for a heading about movement. And I bet we're going to find that on the next page here. Here we go. Blue heading, movement. Some bacteria are able to move around to find resources they need to survive. So we're looking for 3 ways that they can move. So in this paragraph, some of them have special structures for movement. A flagellum. This is the first one. Others can twist or spiral. Others use their pili like grappling hooks. So there you go. You've got your 3 ways right there. Pili, if you don't remember, that was on the picture that you labeled earlier. They are these smaller hairs on the outside of the bacteria. Okay, next one says differentiate between fission and conjugation. So as you're looking for those two, I believe we are moving into reproduction with bacteria. And so fission and conjugation are both highlighted vocab words here. The definitions are in bold, or not in bold, they are italicized. So fission is a cell division that forms 2 genetically identical cells. And during conjugation, 2 bacteria of the same species can attach to each other and combine their genetic material. So you have a visual down here that shows you conjugation. So in conjugation, what the bacteria is doing is the 2 bacteria are going to combine, or they're going to join, and they take their DNA, and they both have their own DNA initially, but then they combine it to form a new set of DNA that is going to have some from each of them. So fission, they're genetically identical. Conjugation, you get a new combination of bacteria, okay? A new combination of DNA and genes. So they're going to be they're not going to be identical to their parents. So that is the big difference there. Okay, moving on to our next section, we're talking about endospores. It says sequence the formation of an endospore. So that means to put it in order and list it off. So it looks like we've got a fill in the blank section here about endospores. And endospores are over on this next page. And in this visual, I see 1, 2, 3. And over here on the worksheet, we also had a graphic organizer here that's got 3 steps. So I wonder if those line up. So looking at that, it says bacteria cells in favorable conditions form without endospores. Bacteria in blank conditions. So this does look like it might match up. So we're going to use this visual in the science book to fill in these boxes that describe how an endospore forms. An endospore, as it says down here, is when a bacteria builds a thick internal wall around the chromosome, so that would be the DNA, and part of its cytoplasm. And they do this it's almost like hibernating, but they use the word dormant here. and the bacteria can just stay dormant when the conditions are not good for it to survive. So use these 3 steps up here in this graphic to fill in the 3 boxes on the worksheet. Next, it says compare and contrast bacteria and archaea. So those are 2 kingdoms of prokaryotic cells. So if we look at this, we've got another heading here for archaea. And you're going to be looking for similarities and differences between these 2 kingdoms. And so you're going to use what you have in this paragraph to fill in those similarities and differences. Okay? And it's all going to be right here in this paragraph. Then at the end, it says, explain how conjugation and the reproductive processes of bacteria are beneficial to their survival. So, as you are thinking about this, remember conjugation is shown over here on page 234, and it talks about that is when you get a new combination of genes that increases genetic diversity. So what that means is that there's going to be more of a variety, and diversity is good because some members of the population will not be identical to the parents, and that sometimes is going to give them an advantage if there's a new maybe antibiotic or a new condition that comes along. The parents may not be able to survive, but the offspring or the baby bacteria, you might think of them, might be able to survive better because of the new difference in their DNA. And then next, we're talking about the reproductive process. As you read up here, bacteria can occur very fast. Okay, so if we're talking about fission, it can happen every 20 minutes. So the speed at which the bacteria can reproduce makes it really possible for them to reproduce quickly. So use some of that information. Maybe we'll talk about this one in class a little bit in a couple days, but put down your best guess as we, going off of what you've learned in this reading, and fill that in. Hopefully this is helpful. I know it was kind of a long video, but I just thought I would walk you through that worksheet packet. It's a little different than the other ones we've done, but it's just another way to lay out the information for you and to be able to see it and organize it a little bit. Have a great day.